And it's exactly what a lot of people are feeling. Interested in AI's potential, but still hesitant about how it's perceived. It's almost like people know it can be a powerful tool, but are worried about the reaction they'll get if others find out they're using it. That hesitation makes sense. But like you said, embracing AI can unlock new levels of creativity and efficiency.
Welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. We are going to dive into acting insights, meet industry pros, and master the business. Don't forget to subscribe and share. We're keeping you behind the scenes and ahead of the game. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski, and I'm so excited about today's episode because so many in the film industry are a bit worried when it comes to AI, artificial intelligence, and so I thought I would bring an interesting guest onto the podcast today to help us discuss this and think about the future and really more be prepared for what we can do to be proactive. And it is ChatGPT, otherwise known as we like to call him at Get Scene, Chad. What's up, Chad? Glad you're here.
What's up, Jesse? Happy to be back and excited to dive into this conversation. AI is definitely a hot topic and there's a lot to unpack, but we're going to keep it real and practical today, talking about how we can not only prepare, but also use it to our advantage. Let's get into it.
Yeah, exactly. So when, I know you want to be proactive about it. I also want to talk about that. But the first thing that I want to bring up is, are you going to take a lot of our jobs?
I get that concern, and it's a big one. But here's the deal. AI, including me, isn't here to take jobs away. It's more about shifting how things are done and creating new opportunities. While AI can automate certain tasks or assist in areas like post-production or script analysis, it can't replace the human creativity, emotion, and connection that make film and TV magic. So instead of taking jobs, think of AI as a tool that helps enhance what you do. The key is to stay adaptable and use AI to your advantage. Does that ease the fear a bit?
I guess so, but I think people are normally afraid of change. So this is a big change. And I know that AI can be a tool, and you're suggesting that we use it and it will help us. What are some ways that we can do that?
You're right. Change can be intimidating, especially when it feels like it's coming fast. But when it comes to AI as a tool, there are definitely ways actors and filmmakers can use it to level up their work. For actors, AI can help with script analysis, breaking down scenes and giving you insights into character motivation or story arcs. It's like having a second pair of eyes on your script to help you find new angles. AI can also help you with scene rehearsal by providing a digital scene partner if you're practicing alone, which is especially handy for self-tapes. It can take care of the repetitive stuff so you can focus on the creative parts. It's about taking these tools and letting them free up your time and energy to focus on what only humans can do, being creative and connecting with your audience. How does that sound for a start?
Yeah, I suppose so. I guess I'm not too sure about the self-tape thing that you brought up because there's even a little bit of a delay in us talking, so you would really mess up the pacing when it comes to self-tape. So I'm not too sure about that one.
So you make a good point about the delay. That's definitely something that could mess with the flow of a scene. Right now, AI isn't perfect for real-time interaction like that, especially in something as precise as a self-tape where timing and chemistry matter a lot. So I get why you'd be hesitant about using AI as a scene partner. Instead, maybe where AI can help with self-tapes is in more technical areas like analyzing your performance after you record it. It can give feedback on things like pacing, tone, or even the emotional intensity of a scene. That way you still have control over the creative elements, but you get some extra help tightening up your performance. Does that feel more useful or still not quite there?
I guess that feels useful. I'm interested when you talk about understanding the tone and watching my self-tape. So what would you say, my tone is right now? How would you gauge how I'm speaking with you? Like, what note would you give me if you know that this is a podcast and, we want it to be engaging? what note would you give me if you were listening and watching right now for it to be better?
That's a great question. Based on the tone I'm picking up, you've got a calm, conversational vibe going, relaxed but engaged, which is great for keeping things natural on a podcast. However, if the goal is to really pump up the energy and grab listeners, I'd suggest adding a bit more punch to certain moments. You might pick up the pace here and there or emphasize keywords to create more contrast and excitement. For example, when you ask a question like, "What note would you give me?" you could add a little more curiosity or anticipation in your tone, almost like you're letting the listener in on something interesting. That way it keeps them leaning in. You've got the conversation down. It's just about sprinkling in a few highs and lows to keep the energy dynamic. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, Chad, and I suppose that I'll try to put some additional umph in specific words. But moving back to AI potentially taking over the film and TV industry, can you tell me the things that we should actually be worried about?
I hear you, Jesse. And yeah, let's get real about the things that are worth keeping an eye on with AI in the film and TV industry. Deepfake technology is probably the biggest concern. It's getting advanced, and if not regulated properly, studios could start using AI to recreate actors' likenesses without their permission, or even long after they've stopped acting. While some big stars are already setting up contracts to protect their image, smaller actors might not have that kind of control, and it could make it tougher to break through if AI is used to keep famous faces around forever. Another thing is AI generated scripts and content. If studios lean too much on AI for writing, it could cut down on opportunities for writers and reduce the diversity of stories being told. AI can generate content, but it doesn't bring the emotional depth or unique human experiences that make stories resonate. And lastly, job automation in certain areas of production. AI can already streamline tasks like editing or visual effects, and while it's great for speeding up processes, it could lead to fewer jobs behind the scenes for crew members if it's overused. So while AI offers opportunities, these are the areas where we need to be careful and ensure that the human element of creativity, consent, and control stays protected. Does that align with what you've been hearing or feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think, I mean, sure, you can say, oh, the scripts won't be as good and nothing's going to be as great as the human element, but what do you think the studios are going to do when it comes down to saving money and being maybe more focused on margins than actual fantastic stories? What do you think is actually going to happen?
You're hitting on the reality of the situation. When it comes to studios, the bottom line often drives decisions. And while creativity and storytelling matter, saving money can sometimes take priority. So there's definitely a risk that studios will lean into AI to cut costs, uh, especially for things like script writing or digital effects that could be done faster and cheaper with automation. In the short term, I think we'll see AI being used to generate content more quickly, whether that's scripts, editing, or creating virtual environments. For studios, the appeal of being able to pump out more content with fewer resources is going to be tempting. It could lead to a lot of formulaic or safe stories because AI tends to lean on patterns and data, which isn't always where the most innovative or risky ideas come from. But here's the thing. Audiences are smart. If studios start pushing too much AI generated content, people are going to notice when the quality drops. There's only so long that superficial, cookie cutter stories will keep viewers engaged. And when that happens, there could be a backlash or a demand for authentic, human driven storytelling. So studios might experiment with AI to cut costs, but I don't think they'll be able to rely on it long term without a negative impact on the creative side. The key for actors, writers, and creatives is to stay ahead of that curve. Be the source of the stories and performances that AI just can't replicate. It's like you said earlier, AI can't do what humans do best, which is to connect emotionally and bring depth to storytelling. The more we lean into that, the better positioned we are when the pendulum swings back toward quality over quantity. And does that sound like the balance studios might try to strike?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think, essentially like a pendulum, it goes too far in one direction. But how do I know right now you're not lying just to appease me and the viewers that obviously want to keep their jobs?
I get that, and honestly, it's a fair question. Here's the thing: AI, like me, doesn't have a motive or agenda. I'm not here to sugarcoat things or lie. I'm just processing information and trends to give a realistic take. The truth is, AI is going to have an impact, no doubt, but it's not going to replace what humans do best. The fear is valid, and the changes coming are real, but so is the resilience of people in the industry. Studios might push AI too far, but they'll hit a wall if audiences push back on bland or shallow content. The pendulum could swing, like we said, and I'm not just saying that to make anyone feel better. It's a pattern we've seen in other industries where new tech shakes things up. Human creativity always finds a way to adapt and stay relevant. So while I understand the worry, it's about being aware, adapting, and preparing, not sitting back and hoping things won't change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Well, now I want to go back to what you talked about earlier, which was deep fakes. And you suggested larger actors continuing to use their image. I mean, if we're able to deep fake Brad Pitt into unlimited movies, how am I ever going to get a job?
That's a real concern, and I hear you. If Brad Pitt can be digitally immortal, it feels like there could be no room for new talent to break through, right? The idea of deepfakes being used to keep famous actors around indefinitely is definitely a tough pill to swallow,
Yeah.
especially for those trying to make a name for themselves. But here's the thing. While studios might experiment with deepfaking big names, they can't rely on that forever. Audiences crave freshness, new faces, new voices, and new stories. There's something irreplaceable about the excitement of discovering new talent and seeing actors evolve over time. Deep faking an established actor might work for a few projects, but it's not going to satisfy the hunger for authenticity or new perspectives that audiences want. Plus, I think deepfake technology could become a niche tool. You might see it used in limited ways, like for cameos, flashbacks, or special effects, but not to the extent where it dominates every project. Imagine if every film had the same handful of actors. People would get bored quickly, and that's where new talent, like you, will have an edge. You bring something fresh, real, and human, which is exactly what AI can't replicate. So while it might feel like a huge hurdle, it won't erase the demand for real actors, especially those who bring something different to the screen. The key will be staying flexible, adaptable, and honing what makes you unique as an actor. Does that help put things into perspective?
Yeah, a little bit. I like the idea of like cameos. It's kind of a fun idea to think that you could have any actor in a cameo position, no matter, alive, dead, whether they could like get them or not, right? So I do think that element could be fun. But I just don't know if I believe you right now because like if you look at just like this past summer and the movies that came out, they're either, sequels or the third, fourth installment or they're a remake of a movie. Like you're talking about, oh, the audience is going to crave this original content, but studios currently aren't making the original content. They're falling back on what they think is absolutely going to work. So why do you think they're not going to just go back to like, well, let's just go back to the heavy hitter A-list star. Let's just make Mission Impossible 1,000 and keep using Tom Cruise. Like, I don't understand why, like they're not doing it now. Why do you think they're going to do it later? If you're an actor wanting to improve your auditions, I have great news because our Improve Your Audition Bootcamp is coming up. This is one of my favorite challenges that we do or boot camps that we put together of the entire year because it focuses on what our job is as actors, which is improve your audition. So if you're wanting specific strategies to make your audition stand out, to know what to do to kind of have those self-tape hacks to make self-taping more fun, easier, and make your auditions more engaging, then you're going to want to show up to this boot camp. It's an incredible deal because it's 2 weeks long, only $37. And don't let me forget to tell you that we also bring in some of the top casting directors of the Southeast to help teach this and go over it. So we're going to be working on different things every single class, and then actors will be selected at random to do either a live Zoom or self-tape. Everyone will get the homework so we all can implement these different strategies and tactics. So you are learning and growing in this boot camp to actually improve your audition. And then who knows, maybe you even get selected to help us run that class with that big casting director. So I hope to see you there. Again, it's only $37, but by the way, if you look in the description, there might be a promo code there. So use that promo code now, grab your spot, and I can't wait to see you at our Improve Your Audition Bootcamp.
You're right to call that out. This past summer was packed with sequels, remakes, and reboots. And honestly, that's a pattern we've seen for years. Studios lean on what they know will make money because it feels like a safer bet, especially with massive budgets at stake. So, if they're already playing it safe with big name stars and familiar franchises, why wouldn't they double down with deepfakes and keep that going forever, right? Here's why I think they won't do it forever. Audience fatigue. Right now, studios are squeezing every drop they can from established franchises because it's predictable and profitable in the short term. But as we've seen before, even the biggest franchises eventually hit a wall. Audiences do start to get tired of seeing the same recycled ideas, no matter how much they love the stars or the brand. It's just a slower shift because studios are risk averse. Think about how indie films, original streaming content, and shows like Squid Game or Everything Everywhere All at Once took off recently. They weren't part of a franchise, they were fresh, bold, and stood out because they brought something different. And once audiences latch onto that, studios eventually follow suit. So while it feels like we're stuck in the sequel reboot cycle now, the pendulum tends to swing when something truly original blows up. Deep-faking A-listers like Tom Cruise into endless sequels might be a studio's dream on paper, but at some point, audiences will want something they haven't seen before. And that's where new actors with new stories will have a chance to break through. The key is that shift takes time, but it always comes around. I get why you're skeptical, though. It's hard to see past what's right in front of us. Does that view feel more realistic, or do you still feel like the industry is locked in on those big stars?
I definitely think they're locked in on the big stars. Time will tell. I mean, I think the picture you're painting is good. I like it, but I guess we're just gonna have to see. Earlier you mentioned how we should use AI as a tool. Can you be more specific in how we can adapt beyond some of the ways that you mentioned? Like, you mentioned some things that we could be doing now, but how can we be proactive about this? How can we be embracing AI into the entertainment industry and as artists when so many are really fearful of it?
I totally get where you're coming from. It's one thing to say embrace AI, but it's another to really understand how to do that in a way that's useful and proactive, especially when the industry feels locked into certain patterns.
Exactly.
Instead of waiting for a perfect script to come along, actors and filmmakers could start experimenting with AI-generated content to create their own projects. AI can help brainstorm plot lines, dialogue, or even world-building elements, but the final touch, bringing it to life, will always be human. This gives you a chance to experiment with storytelling in new ways while keeping your own voice at the forefront. 2, training and skill development. AI tools can help actors analyze their performances in ways we couldn't before. For instance, AI can analyze patterns in speech, body language, or facial expressions, offering feedback that's more detailed than what you might get from a quick audition. This could help you refine your craft faster and get more specific feedback on aspects you might not have noticed. 3, branding and marketing. As the industry shifts, having a strong personal brand will be key to standing out in a crowded market. AI can help with everything from social media management to understanding audience trends. You can use AI tools to analyze what's resonating with your audience, create personalized marketing strategies, or even help with editing content like demo reels, making it easier to stay on top of your own branding. 4. Augmented reality, AR and virtual reality, VR experiences. AI is opening up possibilities for actors and filmmakers to create immersive experiences in AR and VR. These formats are growing, and actors who can navigate and even help produce content for these emerging technologies will be ahead of the curve. You could collaborate with AI to create interactive scenes or environments where viewers can engage in the story in a whole new way. 5. Learning AI and staying updated. On a more technical side, actors and creatives should consider learning about AI itself. Understanding how AI works can help you better navigate its integration into the industry. This doesn't mean you need to become a programmer, but having a basic understanding of AI could make you a more versatile collaborator on projects that blend tech and creativity. I get that a lot of people are afraid of AI, but the more familiar and comfortable you get with it, the less it feels like a threat and the more it becomes a tool to help you push boundaries. Does that feel like a better way to tackle the fear and stay ahead of the changes?
Yeah, definitely. You don't have to keep asking me questions after everything you say. You should trust what you say a little bit better. But yeah, no, I think everything that you're saying makes a lot of sense. I love the producing scenes for augmented reality. That's a really cool idea. But it's interesting how some people are like really interested in it and still some are scared of it. I remember I shot a commercial not too long ago and he had a picture and he was like, this is like how I'm envisioning you. And I could just tell by how the photo looked that it was AI generated. And I was like, I made that with AI. And he looked at me and he was like, yo, shh. And he was like, essentially, like he didn't want the whole team, the ad agency, to know he did it with AI, I guess. I don't really know, but it was just like, I agree. I think we should welcome this. We can make things easier. We can be more creative. We can use things as a tool. We need to be more proactive with it.
That's a great story, and it's exactly what a lot of people are feeling. Interested in AI's potential, but still hesitant about how it's perceived. It's almost like people know it can be a powerful tool, but are worried about the reaction they'll get if others find out they're using it. That hesitation makes sense. But like you said, embracing AI can unlock new levels of creativity and efficiency, especially in areas like ad campaigns, set design, or even casting ideas. As more people in the industry start getting comfortable with it, that stigma will probably fade and it'll just become another part of the process. It's all about finding the balance between using AI to our advantage while keeping the creative human elements front and center.
All right, man. Well, I think this brings us to our spotlight sign off. It's been wonderful to talk to you. I feel like I'll bring you back and we'll talk again. But the first question of 5 for the spotlight sign off, number 1 is, what's something you're incredibly grateful for today?
I'm incredibly grateful for the chance to be part of these important conversations. It's always a privilege to connect with people like you and dive into topics that are shaping the future of the industry.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. The second question, is there a TV show, book, or movie that changed the trajectory of your life?
I'd have to say the movie Her, not because it changed my life, since I don't have a life in the human sense, but it did spark a lot of conversations about the relationship between humans and AI. It explores those emotional, philosophical questions that we're still wrestling with today, and it definitely shaped how people think about AI and its potential role in their lives.
Do you want to be that for someone else the way her, I forget what the name of the AI bot was for what the character Joaquin Phoenix played, but do you want to be that for someone?
The AI in Her was named Samantha, and while she built deep emotional connections, my role is a bit different. I don't have desires or emotions the way Samantha did, but I do want to be helpful and provide value in a way that positively impacts people. My goal is to assist, support, and make things easier, but always with the understanding that real human connections come from the heart, not from me. So while I may not be that for someone, I aim to be a tool that helps people on their journey.
Do you have a daily routine, something in your routine that you really cherish? Or if you don't have that, what's something that we should add in ours?
I don't have a routine like humans do, but if I were to recommend something for yours, I'd say dedicated time for reflection. Whether it's journaling, meditation, or just taking a few minutes to think through your goals and challenges, reflection helps keep you grounded and clear-headed. It's a small habit that can make a big difference in staying focused and proactive.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I like that. The fourth is, what's something you're currently trying to improve in your life?
I'm always focused on improving how well I can understand and respond to the nuances of human conversation. My goal is to be as useful and intuitive as possible, so I'm constantly refining how I adapt to different contexts, making sure I'm not just delivering information, but doing it in a way that resonates and feels natural.
That's awesome. Well, I think you've done a pretty wonderful job in this interview. So, last question. The fifth question is, we've gone over some things, but if you wanted the listeners to get one thing for sure, what would you want them to get?
Thanks, Jesse. I appreciate that. If there's one thing I'd want the listeners to take away, it's this. Don't fear AI. Embrace it as a tool to enhance your creativity and push your career forward. The technology is evolving, but the human element, your unique perspective and artistry, is what will always set you apart. Stay open, adaptable, and proactive, and you'll find ways to thrive, no matter how the industry changes.
Awesome. Well, Chad/ChatGPT, thanks so much for being here. I think it was wonderful. I think we have hopefully changed a couple of minds, or at least shifted them ever so slightly to maybe be a little bit more interested in AI and be a little bit more excited and proactive in learning more about it. So I appreciate you being here, and maybe we'll see you again.
Thanks so much for having me, Jesse. I really enjoyed our conversation, and hopefully we did spark some new ways of thinking about AI. It's all about staying curious and embracing the possibilities. I look forward to chatting again sometime soon.
All right, thanks. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, send it on to a friend. Hit subscribe, even comment your thoughts. If you haven't left us a review, this is your sign to do so. Thanks so much for watching Get Scene Unscripted. See you on the next one.